Antman enjoys a quiet afternoon at home when his phone buzzes. It's Hank Pym. Something strange is happening at the city park, an unusual increase in insect activity. Scott suits up, shrinking down to his Antman size to investigate. Upon reaching the park, Antman is surrounded by thousands of tiny flying insects. At first, it seems normal, but soon he notices that they're behaving erratically, like they're being controlled. The insects start forming strange patterns in the sky, almost like they're communicating. He attempts to use his powers to communicate with the ants, but the other insects block his signals, buzzing loudly in defiance. Antman discovers that the insects are receiving a mysterious signal from somewhere underground. The signal is making them more aggressive and organizing them into a massive swarm. Suddenly, a massive wave of insects rushes at Antman, forcing him to shrink down even smaller to avoid being overwhelmed. He dodges through the swarm, but it's clear that something is controlling these creatures with sinister intent. Following the signal, Antman dives underground, navigating through the network of tunnels beneath the park. The air is thick with more insects, making it hard to see. As he ventures deeper, he notices strange machinery buried in the soil. Antman finally uncovers the source of the signal, a giant machine that's emitting frequencies, controlling the insects. It's clear someone, or something, designed this machine to weaponize the bugs, turning them into a living army. As Antman tries to disable the machine, the swarm becomes even more aggressive. They attack him relentlessly, trying to protect the hive mind device. Antman shrinks down to a microscopic level, dodging the attacks and searching for a way to shut the machine down. Antman quickly calls on his ant allies for backup. Thousands of ants swarm into the tunnels, providing him cover and creating diversions to keep the aggressive insects at bay. The battle turns into an all-out insect war. Antman discovers the machine's core, but it's surrounded by a dense shield of mechanical parts and insect guards. He navigates through tight spaces, dodging mechanical traps, and using his shrinking powers to slip through gaps. Just as Antman reaches the core, the machine sends a surge of energy through the swarm. The insects, now supercharged, begin attacking with even more ferocity. Antman struggles to keep his focus while dodging waves of stinging insects. Antman uses his shrinking and growing powers to confuse the swarm. One moment he's tiny, slipping through cracks, and the next he's full-sized, swatting the larger insects away. He keeps the swarm on their toes as he closes in on the core. Finally, he reaches the core of the hive mind machine. It's surrounded by a complex maze of gears and circuits. He realizes that he needs to shut down the central processor to free the insects from its control. As Antman works to dismantle the core, the machine begins to overload. Sparks fly, and the insects become even more erratic. Time is running out, and if the machine isn't stopped, the swarm will spiral completely out of control. He calls on a special group of ants trained for sabotage. These ants crawl through the machine's circuits, cutting power lines and disabling key components. The machine starts to slow, but it's still operational. The swarm, sensing its control slipping, makes one last desperate attack on Antman. He uses every trick he has, shrinking, growing, and maneuvering around the insects while his ant allies work to shut the machine down completely. With the ants' sabotage efforts, the machine begins to overheat. Antman sees his chance and delivers the final blow, pulling out the machine's power source just as it starts to explode. The signal controlling the insects is cut off instantly. As soon as the machine powers down, the swarm of insects calms. Without the signal controlling them, the insects return to their natural state, harmlessly dispersing into the air. The immediate danger is over. Antman emerges from the underground tunnels, watching as the insects scatter peacefully. Though he's stopped the machine, he wonders who built it and why they wanted to weaponize the insects. He knows this might be just the beginning of a bigger plot. After the chaos, Antman finally enjoys a moment of peace, sitting in the park as the sun sets. He laughs to himself, thinking, only me, saving the city from bugs. But he knows this victory is just one part of his ongoing fight to protect the world.